there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you... All right, who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, have been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay, drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car. The other one.
It's truly for the win.
That I was given to. So there was 2 different discs. Okay? They all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I see.
I assume a noise complaint. That's why I'm here. What is up, guys? What is up? What is up? Hope you guys can hear me. Welcome to the transparency. Holy heck. Well, I've been studying a lot, learning a lot, researching a lot. I have more information than I know what to do with right now. So I do want to say I've taken a lot of time because I think it's important. I've watched some stuff to do with the dentist, murder, hire for murder, murder for hire, with the, Dan Markel and Adelson's. And the reason I wanted to watch, I put that bitch on 1.75 speed. So the reason I wanted to watch it is because 2 cases that I'm covering with Jared Bridegan, murder for hire, and Jennifer Drake, Brian Drake case right here. And like I said, I have more information than I think a lot of people out there have on this case by far with the Brian Drake case. But I want to be comparing because what you're seeing in the courtroom, it's going to be similar. If this case ever, goes to court, Dr. Daniel Moore is 100% innocent. I mean, just ridiculous. But how did it go so wrong? I mean, how is stuff staring officers like dead in the face, and you legit go after a guy? Like how does this happen? Dan Moore wasn't some thug. He was a pillar in the community. Him and his wife. Wife was the damn nurse at the school. And he's the chiropractor, and they raised their kids there, and took care of the student athletes. So it's like, how do you go from, it's great, Brian Drake found dead in his office, to the fact that you're going to seriously so that you're going to just blame somebody 6 months later, and that has no connection whatsoever. Like, there is no connection. Brian Drake Dan Moore. But I mean, there's just so many things I want to talk about. I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in like, weeks or something like that. So much has been going on. But let's just jump right into it here. This is a 2010 letter. Okay, you guys are seeing part of it here. And July 22nd, 2010, please be advised that I represent a former patient. Then check this out. This is what I'm going to do for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Please be advised that I represent a former patient, Jennifer Smith, in a personal injury claim against you and your clinic for 1, invasion of privacy claims, and 2, intentional infliction of emotional distress claims. The intentional infliction of emotional distress claims arise from your repeated improper conduct when treating Miss Smith, which includes talking about her breasts and buttocks repeatedly. Excuse me? We are seeking damages against you for your repeated lewd and improper comments to your patient, which violate the ethical rules of conduct for chiropractors in Texas and Texas common law. Again, this is when he is in Texas. Again, this letter is written from a law office that's representing a woman by the name of Jennifer Smith. Ms. Smith's invasion of privacy and the HIPAA violation claims stem from your intentional and malicious disclosures of her confidential patient medical provider information, including sharing her x-rays and treatment plan to a guy named Jeff Francis, who was a co-employee patient referred to you by Ms. Smith, and Amy Bass, another patient referred to you by Mrs. Smith. Additionally, you made improper comments about your patient, Jennifer Smith, to Josh Dickinson, which include, in quotes, Jennifer has the nicest ass in the world. How do you handle that every night? Additionally, you made inappropriate comments about your patient, Ms. Smith, to Jeff Francis, which include, Jennifer Smith has the nicest ass I have ever seen. What do you think of her ass, Jeff? Intentionally disclosure of a patient's confidential medical record is not only a violation of the HIPAA, calling for civil penalties, incarceration in jail of up to 1 year, and fines of up to $50,000 per occurrence, but also constitutes an invasion of privacy tort under Texas common law, allowing a claim for actual damages and punitive damages. We are seeking monetary damages against you and your clinic for your improper and unauthorized disclosure of confidential patient information about Jennifer Smith to Amy Bass and Jeff Francis. Okay. I mean, was Brian Drake a moron? Then that goes into like the health insurance portable accountability, blah, blah, and the different right here though. Civil money penalties. So they just included in this letter basically to get like things rolling. They included how much this was going to cost him. We're going to go to the board, things like that. But then they say at the end here, the criminal prosecution of any HIPAA violations is not related to our civil damage claims and is completely separate and distant from our civil tort claims. We have no control, influence, or interest in any criminal prosecution. I simply this is a summary of the HIPAA privacy law above to illustrate the seriousness of HIPAA privacy violations. We believe a Travis County jury will likely take your intentional violations as seriously as the government does. If you wish to discuss the terms of an out-of-court settlement before we file a formal public lawsuit in Travis County District Court, please contact me. I look forward to hearing from you. So this was a letter, okay? This was a letter put together and sent off to Brian Drake. Now, when this was in 2010. Now, fast forward 10 years later, Brian Drake will be killed, murdered, shot. Boom. But during the investigation stage of this homicide, Jennifer Drake was interviewed a couple different times. So was her family members, people were interviewed. Well, during Jennifer Drake's interviews, they specifically, and we've talked about it on this channel, they specifically asked her things like, are you, do you know of anything past in Austin? And was there a settlement? Did you have to pay out, X amount of dollars? And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I never heard of anything like that. Inappropriate behavior. No. Okay. Well, what I have right here is proof that Jennifer Drake lied to investigators. Seriously. Here, pussy, 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 pussy cat. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. It's a cat attack. What the? Go away. I'm being attacked over here by pussycats. What is it about Austin, man? I don't know. Seriously. This is a fucking joke, right? Who sent me the cat? I'm allergic to cats. Moving on. Woo-wee. Jennifer Drake was dishonest. Okay, cat. Hold on, please. Okay. Here we go. Jennifer was not honest. And in fact, her husband wrote a letter back to Mr. Madison. Mr. Madison, this is a settlement communication and is subject to Texas Rule of Evidence 408. The counteroffer, this is a counteroffer. This is a counteroffer. So there must have been some communication, in my opinion, between July 22nd and August 27th, 2010. But the counteroffer presented hereunder is made solely in an attempt to settle the controversy between the parties and avoid the unknown costs associated with litigation. Nothing in this response should be deemed an admission of any kind, and all allegations against me, Brian Drake, are disputed. So Brian Drake wants to make this perfectly clear that, dude, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not admitting to any of this. This is crazy, but this is me. I'm disputing it, but I'm willing to pay you for this to go away. Okay? So I offer a settlement in the amount of $2,990. $2,990. I've totally taken over Miss Vargas's office. And let's already say that I'm already behind on my studies. $2,990. Like, what an amount. Like, why not just say 3,000? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Anyways. God, I'm getting blown up everywhere. Okay. Whew. I offer a settlement amount of $2,990 in return for withdrawing any and all allegations against Drake Chiropractic of Austin or me personally. This amount reflects what Ms. Smith previously paid to Drake Chiropractic for chiropractic services, of which have already been rendered, as our corporate and personal positions are both in debt to keep the business running. This amount represents all that I can afford in cash. We give you the permission to check the credit of both Brian and Jennifer Drake to corroborate that we are unable to pay any amount above this. Boom. He not only says his name, but now he is involving his wifey poo, Jennifer Drake, in this. And you can check our credit. Wait, what? If this is agreed upon, all actions against Drake Chiropractic of Austin or myself must cease, and no complaints issued to the Texas Board of Chiropractic. I don't even know if you can do that. I don't even know if you can say that in negotiations, just so you know. I don't even know if you're allowed to do that. I know that when you're negotiating with a lawyer, you can't say, like, I won't go to the board with a complaint, even if if we settle out. You can't do that. You're not allowed to. So I'm just curious. I have no idea. So if this is agreed upon, all actions against, and do not, no complaints issued to the Texas Board of Chiropractic. We also request to have until September 30th to pay this amount. We will do our best to fulfill it sooner if possible. So $2,990. But what I care more about is the lies. What I care more about is I know that Emma Fields took a phone call from me because I'm making a documentary. And Emma Fields took a phone call from me. And Emma Fields is under the impression that there is a different Brian Drake and there's a different Jennifer Drake that were from Texas, and it's not the same people. Well, Emma, I just want to let you know, you one dumb broad. Okay? You dumb. And I'm saying that publicly. My opinion is that you're stupid. And I'm allowed to have that opinion. And I'm allowed to express my opinion about, I think that you're stupid. But the stuff that Emma told me that she was in contact with ISP directly. And that ISP directly told her that the coroner, Mick, tampered with the crime scene that night. Mick wasn't even there that night. Mick didn't even enter anywhere near there until the next day. So I don't know what ISP detective you're talking to or what ISP person you're talking to, but that's what she told me. And that's completely not true. But Emma had lots to say to me. And she said that she was getting her information directly from ISP. But Emma is also under the impression, so I just want to clear this up for her, that this Brian Drake and this Jennifer Drake, it's the same Brian and Jennifer Drake that's in Idaho that was murdered. This is the Austin people. It's the same people. Jennifer Drake tried to tell you that it was not the same people. That was different people. Okay. Oh, that's a totally different. No, honey. It's the same people. Whoever would believe that in the first place, Emma, I mean, wow. Woo. But I guess when you want to make money, you'll just do whatever. So, but no, this is the same people right here in Austin that traveled then to Idaho. Okay. And to then, would be found murdered. Yeah. So why I'm talking about this is because this has been a reoccurring thing that was Dr. Drake a big perv. Well, I then had an interview with Lacy Savage. She's a savage. I love her. And Lacy had the pleasure of getting to know Dr. Drake in Idaho. She was an assistant to one of the other doctors, though, not to Brian Drake, but he was part of like being there. He was part of the practice or whatever. Like, you know, he saw his own patients and shit like that. Well, let me grab my. Let me grab my other thing here. I wanted to. Damn. There it is. Perfect. I've conducted lots of interviews in this case. Lacy, here she is. What a doll. Young little thing. Okay. The coroner that they threatened, yes. Yes. That he had tampered with the scene. They're just complete fucking bull, like all lies. So yeah, Emma Fields is going to have a field day, pun intended, when this all comes about. I told Emma that I was doing a documentary and that I was recording, and even if I didn't have to tell her. She's in Idaho. Okay, here we go. Lacy Savage. She worked for Dr. Elliott, River City chiropractic assistant, front desk. She was the front desk gal. Okay. And there was another girl by the name of Sarah. Okay. She left River City in 2013, 2014, moved to Alaska. Then she came back and worked again. She was an assistant for Dr. Crawford and Elliott. Okay. When new patients would come in, she would do their initial exam. Lacy was never Dr. Drake's assistant. Never once. She worked there the whole time that Dr. Drake was there. I asked her why she thought someone would kill Dr. Drake. Dr. Drake owed some things. How was Dr. Drake treating his staff members? She said, well, Dr. Drake had slapped her on the butt. He was really nice. He was very pervy. He was a perv. He slapped my butt and said he thought I was his wife. And when he slapped my ass, he said, oh, sorry, I thought you were my wife. After he slapped her ass. Then she had to, while she was working as an assistant, she was in one of the rooms to like go up and get something out of like one of the cabinets. And so she got up to go grab something out of one of the cabinets. And Dr. Drake said that would be the perfect position to her. And he would like grab your waist and like tickle, just very creepy. Did he ever ask you out? No. Did he ever ask any other female staff out? No. Lacy was full-time. She said that she believed that he was doing it often enough that it was a problem. Like, was this a problem? And yeah, I mean, so Lacy had told, I don't know if they confront him, meaning the doctors, because she had told on him. Okay. So she had told on him. And she was young. She was in her early 20s when this happened. And she wore a baseball cap one day, and he's like, oh my God, I love a girl in a baseball cap, stuff like that. He slapped her ass and said, whoop, sorry, I thought you were my wife. Like, wait, excuse me? The fuck? But she thought it was enough of a problem that she mentioned it to the, well, here, Drake ends up having a problem with Crawford and Elliott, and that's the interview that I really want. I really want to hear what Elliott and Crawford have to say about this man. Because these are all things that you're hearing, all of these things if you're investigators. She told this to investigators. This is a repetitive behavior. This would lead to somebody being like, dude, you touched my wife or you did something to my daughter, and like somebody doing something to him. Like that's motive, way more so than the motive that they came up with, which was there's no proof behind it, which was Dr. Drake was stealing patients, and that's why Dr. Moore killed him. Are you insane? You have to have patients in order to be stealing patients. Dr. Moore had so many more patients than Dr. Drake had. It was insane. To this day, we don't even know who the hell Dr. Drake was seeing. Like, where are his patient files? Oh, that's right. His wife went into his Sandpoint office, wiped it down with baby wipes, wiped it down with disinfectant wipes the day after his murder. Who would do that? Who would go and clear out a Sandpoint office and wipe it down with disinfectant wipes? I get that it was COVID, okay? But like, that's the last thing on my mind. Who goes and calls and says, hey, I need to call on our, your husband isn't even picked up off the floor yet during COVID, okay? He's still laying there and you're calling to get insurance money, okay? And then when you're asked questions about what happened in Austin, you act like you have no idea. Well, your husband's a big perv. And you knew about it because he put your name in the letter and said, check our stuff out and see how much. We don't have any money. Like, this is all we have in cash. We don't have any money. So here we have all of these things happening in Dr. Drake's past. Now, do I think that anybody should be murdered over these type of acts? No, I do not think that anybody should be murdered over this. Okay. Lacy regrets that she's like, if I was a little older, I would have went to the police. Like, I didn't even know. Like, I was just so young. I was so young. Well, then you have to ask yourself, well, what did Elliot and Crawford do? Why didn't they go report him? Did they report him to the board? Did they fire him? I mean, that is an immediate, like, somebody just slapped your assistant's ass. Like, what? And this was not just a one-time thing. So then I have to ask myself, well, what do I really think of Crawford and Elliot? Like, what a bunch of dipshits they are. Like, somebody came to you, a young female in her 20s, and what'd y'all do? Say, oh, don't do that? Or was there a blow up? Was that actually the reason that, Dr. Drake had a falling out? But according to Jennifer, everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. Her husband was, perfect. And, but this says otherwise. Do you know how much money? Think about this. You're wrongfully accused and then, picked up and then arrested, and you have to go through all this stuff, and then for the Moors, and then it gets finally kicked out because the confession was just like, he didn't confess to murdering the guy. It was like, if you were to do this, how would you do it type of thing. But the thing that blew my mind is how much money would it take to keep defending yourself against these claims? Because it didn't just stop once, okay, he was let out of jail. He was, here you can go. Because we don't have any evidence to hold him on. That's the problem that people don't realize is that the reason that Dan Moore was let go is because the judge asked him, do you have anything other than this false confession? And they said, no, we don't have any other evidence. And that's what Emma Fields and me had a big kind of like talk. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, they had so much evidence. They had camera footage. They had this, they had that. I'm like, no, they didn't. I was like, well, if they did, then why didn't they? I mean, these weren't going to be dropped. The only reason it was dropped is because the judge asked, do you have any other evidence besides this? Because we're throwing this out. So what are you coming to the table with? And they said, no. Well, so then I took my happy ass back to the drawing board. And I said, well, let me go take a look at what they went to the preliminary hearing with. They went to the preliminary hearing with 33 pages of discovery. That's it. 33 pages of discovery. Think about the Brian Kohlberger case. Okay. Brian Kohlberger case only had 7 weeks and he was arrested. This case, it was March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 months worth of investigating. They hand over to Dr. Moore's defense team 33 pages of discovery. 33 Wait, what? 33 pages of what? 33 pages. 33 pages in 6 months. Like, wait, excuse me? So I go and I'm like, I want to see this motion to compel. Where's the discovery, man? These discovery requests. What's going on here? "33 pages. Okay. Now, check this out. I got it. Defendant's motion to compel. Electronically filed September 17th, 2020. The preliminary hearing was October 2nd, 2020. This is filed September 17th, so just like 2 weeks beforehand. Factual background. Dr. Daniel Lee Moore was arrested on August 28th, 2020 upon suspicion of killing Dr. Brian Drake and was charged by the state of Idaho. The following day, see criminal complaint on August 31st, 2020, defense counsel filed her notice of appearance as legal counsel. The following day, September 1st, defense counsel served a motion for discovery pursuant to the Idaho Criminal Rule 16. See defendant's request for discovery. Materials requested by defendant mirror those in the Idaho Criminal Rules of Procedure as being subject to disclosure upon written request by the defense. Defense counsel, by the way of email to state's prosecuting attorney, Deputy Attorney Tevis Hall on September 2nd, she outlined Dr. Moore's discovery request in greater, being specific. See Exhibit A. Further, and I think I have Exhibit A. Sure do. You know how we don't get to see those Exhibit A's and B's with the Brian Kohlberger case? I got the Exhibit A's and B's. Okay, check this out. Now think about the Brian Kohlberger case. Think about this. As of the date of this filing, over 14 days have passed since defense counsel's initial request for discovery. And the only materials produced by the state in this over 6-month investigation of these very serious charges that the state has alleged was committed by Dr. Moore falls far short of that which is required by Rule 16 and the Due Process Clause of the Idaho and United States Constitutions. As set forth in the state's response to a request for discovery filed on September 15th, the state has produced surprisingly limited responses, which they describe as follows. Listen to this. Number 1, all statements would be included in the police report attached here too. Number 2, any statements made by the co-defendant would be included in the police report attached here too. Number 3, a copy of the defendant's prior criminal record is available at the prosecutor's office. Number 4, all documents and tangible objects in the possession of the prosecuting attorney are attached here too as A, the probable cause affidavit, which Van Leuven wrote, 19 pages. B, Bonners Ferry Police Report, 12 pages. And C, email from Boundary County Detective Dave McLachlan, 1 page. So 19 pages, 12 pages, and then 1 page. 33 pages, I believe. Audio video recording by Bonners Ferry police officer Marty Ryan labeled Arrest and Trans River Visit on DVD. Number 5, there are no reports of examination and tests available at this time. Once those reports are received by this office, this answer will be submitted. 6 months, they have no reports or examinations of tests of anything. Number 6, witnesses for the state at this time are as follows. And it's 6 people. All persons named in the police report are the witnesses. The state has no knowledge of any prior felony convictions of the state's witnesses. Any statement the witness may have made would be included in the police report. That's not true, though. I already found it. The state has not determined what expert witnesses it will call for testimony, and this response will be supplemented when that determination has been made. A copy of the police report in the possession of the prosecuting attorney is attached here too. And number 9, a copy of all digital media recording in the possession of the prosecuting attorney are attached here too. Review of those documents and video evidence supplied is remarkable in the amount of evidence this limited evidentiary disclosure demonstrates the state knows exists and is in the possession of the prosecuting and law enforcement authorities, but has not been introduced or produced to Dr. Moore's counsel. The state's allegations rely on specific evidence, including surveillance videos. They didn't give them any of the surveillance videos. An alleged confession. They didn't give them the confession. By their own admission, Dr. Moore asked for counsel and repeatedly asserted his innocence in the crime alleged. Idaho State Patrol, and the only affidavit supplied by the state today, among numerous we now know exist, indicates the confession was recorded. Where is this recording? They didn't give them the recording of the confession. The state is in this disclosure produced a recording of Dr. Moore being arrested and booked into jail, but has failed to produce the video and audio recording of the interview of Dr. Moore. This is 2 weeks before the preliminary hearing. Additionally, the state has failed to supply not only the most obvious material necessary to the preparation of the defense in this matter, but significant amounts of exculpatory material the state knows exists, which implicates other suspects in the commission of the crime and expulsates Dr. Moore. Ooh. Listen to this. Material and exculpatory items of evidence not disclosed. From review of the 33 pages of documentation of the evidence supplied by the state, which include only the August 27, 2020 affidavit of Idaho State Police Detective Van Leuven, the March 12 reports of the investigation of Bonners Ferry, Officer Brad Johnson and Marty Ryan, the August 28th, 2020 report of investigation by Marty Ryan, and one email. From this limited 33-page disclosure, the following evidence is known to exist, far surpasses what has been supplied, and is remarkably deficient. Here is what exists and what is requested that is in the custody and control of the state, but has not yet been supplied. Listen to this list. Remember I told you, like, this is stuff that would normally get redacted? We got it. Number 1, the search warrants. All the search warrants. Every search warrant and every affidavit for those search warrants. Where are they? The returns of the search warrants. Where are they? The discovery supplied by the state in their disclosures indicates the following search warrants were executed, for which an affidavit, warrant, and warrant return must exist, but have not been supplied. 3/13/2020, crime scene and victim vehicle. Dr. Drake's office at 6811 Main Street, Bonners Ferry. Number 2, 3/13/2020, hotel room and vehicle of suspect Stephen Hartman. Number 3, 3/13/2020, 2 cell phones in Stephen Hartman's possession. They were cell break dumped. Number 4D, Kootenai River KRI administrative records on file relating to Stephen Hartman for forensic identifiers, including print and photos of Hartman. Not turned over. 3/13/2020, black Swiss backpack belonging to Hartman. 3/13/2020, warrant of detention of Hartman. 8/27/2020, 3 residences and 3 businesses in Boundary County and Lincoln County, Montana searched based on search warrants according to 8/28's affidavit. H, any other search warrant affidavit or returns related to this investigation of the murder of Dr. Drake. Number 2, you guys are going to die. Ready? The mother 911 call. 911 call recordings / dispatch logs. The report of investigation supplied by the state says that Boundary County Sheriff's dispatch of shots fired relating to the shooting death of the victim, Dr. Drake. Further, in another report of investigation, officers recount a 911 call by an eyewitness. They did not turn over the 911 calls, any of them. What? This is 2 weeks before the preliminary hearing. They've had 6 months, you know what I mean? This wasn't like we arrested somebody a week after the murder. This is number 3, Defendants Statements. In the August 28th, 2020 affidavit in support of search warrants supplied by the state, Van Leuven identifies several interviews with Dr. Moore, including a recorded interview with him where he is alleged to have confessed after asserting his right to counsel. This audio and video recording is the foundation of the state's charges in this case, and yet, remarkably, the state has refused to produce it. Additionally, in the same affidavit, Van Leuven indicated that Dr. Moore was interviewed on March 24th, 2020, and re-interviewed on May 6th. Where are these recordings? Where is any of this documentation? We don't have it. Finally, according to the report of BCPD, Officer Ryan, Dr. Moore signed a photograph of an image of a river and made a mark on that image where Ryan said that he told ISP he put the gun. The critical photograph statement has not been submitted or supplied. Phone records. This is amazing. Number 4, phone records. According to the search warrant affidavit of ISP Detective Sergeant Van Leuven, the state has obtained warrants for and searched cell phone records relating to the 911 call placed by Drake's wife, Jennifer Drake. Calls between Dr. Drake and his wife at or near the time of the shooting that led to Dr. Drake's death, the phone of the suspect, Stephen Hartman, Dr. Daniel Moore, and possibly other phones. No cell phone records have been supplied to date. Not a single cell phone record. Witness statements, number 5. According to the search warrant affidavit, Van Leuven's that we read, several witnesses have been identified and their statements summarized, but not reaccounted in any detail, nor have any recordings of their interviews been supplied. Witnesses identified from the limited discovery supplied to date include the following. We need suspect Stephen Hartman. Any interviews with him? We need Dr. Sally Aiken, the pathologist who performed the autopsy. Do you guys have anything from her? Do we even have the fucking autopsy? C, ISP forensic scientist Stuart Jacobson. D, we need all of these fact witnesses. Ready? Jennifer Drake, Eldora Gatchell, Caleb Kakoa Nazara, Isaac Funderburg, Aaliyah Sandelin. Then you have right here a possible suspect found and interviewed by the FBI Violent Crimes Task Force. Excuse me? Who's that? A source of information, an SOI, interviewed on May 19th by Detective Alderson and Detective Van Leuven, which interview was recorded and transcribed. Can we get that? Who is this? Hi there, Miss Potts. Mick Millette. Where's Mick? An alibi witness to Dr. Moore. Where's any of his stuff? Number 6, moving on. Patient records. The affidavit of ISP Detective Van Leuven supplied indicates that Dr. Drake's patient files had been seized as evidence. And a review of these files supported the conclusion drawn by law enforcement, which was that Dan Moore killed Dr. Drake because he was stealing patients, right? Further, Dr. Moore's office and office computers were searched, and the theory advanced that some of Dr. Moore's patients went to Dr. Drake. Well, these patient records from both offices are critical to the defense of the ridiculous state's theory and motive. Where are they? We need these patient files. We need to see who is cross-contaminating, who is so upset, who left, who was stolen. Number 8, crime scene photos. You guys are about to die. Ready? Again, this case involves the investigation of a murder. It is unthinkable that any state or federal investigative agency involved in such an investigation would not document a murder crime scene without photographing the scene. We have no crime scene photos. None. We don't even have outside photos. We don't even have exterior photos of the building. We have nothing. Details of the shooting are critical for defense investigative work. Sorry. Yet no crime scene photos have been supplied by the state in their disclosures. Wait, what? Yeah, no crime scene photos. Shut up, Lana. Swear to God. It's in writing. Number 9. 2 weeks before the preliminary hearing. Okay. Investigative reports. This is ISP, baby. ISP, who is doing the Brian Kohlberger case. This is what they're doing. This is their work right here. I'm sorry. Number 9, investigative reports. The affidavit of ISP Detective Sergeant Van Leuven indicates that ISP involvement of many other law enforcement agencies were involved in this case, and it indicates that as many as 200 interviews were done. There were 200 interviews. However, no reports of these 200 interviews have been supplied. Nor have any reports of investigation from any agency other than Bonner Ferry Police Department, not even ISP reports. Not even ISP reports. They're the lead. Sorry, man. Holy shit. No reports. Nothing to see here. Sorry, guys, dude. This is whack as shit. Oh, shit. ISP press release and Facebook postings identifying investigative support by the FBI, the ATF, Coeur d'Alene Police Department, ATF, Kootenai County Sheriffs, Kootenai County Prosecutors, and the Lincoln County, Montana Sheriff's Office. Not a single report from any of these people. I'm sorry, man. Such support must have resulted in investigative notes and reports. Reports supplied by the state from BFPD are limited to the reports of Assistant Chief Marty Ryan, who is moving out of Bounders, by the way. His house is up for sale. He's getting out of here. And Officer B. Johnson. These BFPD reports identify involvement by BCSD deputies, and they list all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. No investigative reports from any of these others identified as having involvement in this case have been supplied. No reports. No, my antibiotics is breaking up all my chest. So it's good. It's all dripping. It's all like... They don't have time to make reports. Okay, ready? Next is number 10. Audio recorded interviews. The disclosures supplied by the state identify numerous witnesses and suspect interviews that were recorded. No recordings of interview, including the obvious interview that forms the basis of their charges, the interview of Dr. Moore, have been supplied. This is in writing. This is a fucking motion. Like, you giving me 33 pages to go forward with a murder that you've been investigating for 6 months. I have 33 pages. We have a preliminary hearing that's set for October 2nd. And I have fucking nothing. The interview of Dr. Moore is expected to contain critical evidence that includes Dr. Moore's assertion of his right to counsel repeatedly throughout the interview with ISP and Officer Marty Ryan, and the coercive interview that led to an involuntary statement by Dr. Moore. It is truly outrageous that the state has not immediately produced this recording, has failed to produce it by the time of this filing, and that Dr. Moore must bring his motion to compel to obtain his own statements that were recorded by law enforcement in this case. Oh my God. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. A complete and full and unredacted copy of this audio recorded interview, interrogation, other interviews of witnesses, suspects that have been recorded is demanded. Is demanded. Next, autopsy report. We don't have an autopsy report. This is a murder investigation. The August 28th, 2020 affidavit of ISP Detective Van Leuven indicates that Dr. Drake's body was transported to the Spokane County Medical Examiner's office where Dr. Sally S. Aiken performed an autopsy. No autopsy report has been supplied. The fuck? How you doing, Emma Fields? Hope you're watching. What's up, guys? All you guys in Idaho. Dr. Daniel Moore, 100% innocent. You guys don't even know what has happened in this case, but I am here to bring the fuckerage. If you thought the dentist hired, Sigfredo and Katie and blah, 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 if you thought that was some crazy ass shit, this is way better. This is insanity. Dr. Moore, 100% innocent, and y'all live in a town that they just do whatever they want. Zimmerman, Marty Ryan. We're going to get into all the fuckerage of Bonners Ferry. These people are lead in BK. Yes, they are. And don't let anybody tell you different. This is the Idaho State Police. This is the ones that Idaho State Lab. You know what I mean? This is Idaho, Udaho, no, Weedaho. Number 12, bullet analysis ballistics reports. In the same August 28, 2020 affidavit of ISP Detective Van Leuven, he indicates that there was a bullet recovered from Dr. Drake's body, has been analyzed by 2 forensic laboratories, and advice received from ISP forensic scientist Stuart Jacobson. Nonetheless, the state has failed to produce any forensic reports or the labs or anything of the sort. How do you arrest people like this? Are you guys insane right now? 2 weeks before the preliminary hearing. This is a 6-month investigation. She asked, this is a compel. We've already asked you for the discovery. Now we're asking you to compel because you gave us 33 pages. Ready? Number 13. Surveillance footage and reports. Think of Brian Koberger's case. Footage showing suspect Stephen Hartman dressed in clothing matching eyewitness description of the shooter en route to the location of the shooting of Dr. Drake, arriving at the location of the shooting, and his path after the shooting is identified in Bonner County Police Department Assistant Chief Marty Ryan's report. Further, the August 28, 2020 affidavit of ISP Detective Van Leuven suggests the video footage places Dr. Moore's vehicle in the area of the crime scene with notwithstanding timestamps on the videos being off by minutes and or hours. Yet no surveillance videos nor explanations of the conclusions drawn by the purported linking of the surveillance footage to implicate Dr. Moore has been supplied. That's off. That's off by an hour. That one's off by 3 hours. That one's off by 9 minutes and 15 seconds. 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Oh, yeah, the same length of the time of the phone call with Jennifer Drake and Brian Drake. There's a camera out by 9 minutes and 15 seconds. You can't make this up. I'm just like, wait a second. What is going on? I don't know. I guess someone's mowing the lawn. Oh God, there's more. There's more. Just when you thought this couldn't get more. 33 pages of discovery, no autopsy report, no crime scene photos. How did they prove a murder was even committed? I know. They didn't take any crime scene photos, guys. No crime scene photos. Where are these crime scene photos? Where are they? Nobody knows. Today, no one knows. I've never seen Brian Drake's body on the floor. But the body's at the floor. The body's at the floor. Let's see. Moving on. Number 14. Source of information identity. The August 28th, 2020 affidavit of ISP Detective Van Leeuwen indicates that there's a source of information, and it's an SOI, provided, and it's going to be like a confidential person. And it provided information that suggested that Dr. Drake was not wanted in town and certain individuals didn't want him there. This witness must be identified as no reasonable basis exists to protect the identity of this witness in this manner, who obviously has important material information in this case. Wow. The argument: a prosecuting attorney has special obligations governed by a long-standing precedent to ensure, above all else, that justice shall be done, as best articulated by the United States Supreme Court. Due process, yada yada yada, a mandatory disclosure, just going on and by, like, Jesus, what are you thinking? In conclusion, the state has its responsibility to supply discovery in this matter, and required by both, everything. The failures require warrants that the issuance of court orders to compel compliance. Failure to comply with such an order is likewise improper and grounds for sanctions. Now, what I don't understand is it says the defendant hereby requests an order compelling disclosures of each of these items identified in the motion by no later than September 24th. Okay. And in no event later than the preliminary hearing in this matter. How can you need time to go through it. Okay. You need time to go through this and see what ends up happening here is this was dated September 17th. This should have never went past a preliminary hearing because they lied at a preliminary hearing saying what time this alleged 911 call happened. There was no logs, no reports. Okay. The first time. So think about this. I only got involved in this case because I was going through Van Leeuwen or Gary Tolson. Gary Tolson was like side by side with Van Leeuwen, and Gary Tolson was involved in the Idaho 4 stuff because Ann Taylor wanted information on that man. So then I go ahead and start looking into him in the ISP aspect, and I came across this case. This is how I found this case. And I was like, holy shit, what the hell are they doing over here? Like, how can they go after this man? Why do they want to go after, this man? What the fuck? This isn't some this dude's never got a speeding ticket. This dude's never, he's a pillar in the community. Dr. Moore is he's got a family, his kids. They all went to, Bonners, and it's just just no problems, just hey, how you, just whatever, totally just why would you ever target this man? So I got my hands on defendant's second motion and memorandum to compel discovery. Okay, ready? So Okay. No, this was filed 10/15, so I had to do my own math. So 10/15. So if we have September 17th, then we have 10/15, okay? But right here. Okay, the state's initial discovery disclosures on September 15th amounted to 33 pages of electronic documents and a handful of video files. Due to, the defense counsel filed a motion to compel 2 days later on September 17th. In any addition to the motion to compel discovery counsel for Dr. Daniel Moore, a hearing on Dr. Moore's motion to compel was heard the following week, but the presiding magistrate declined to issue an order. Okay, so think about this. Think about, you have a hearing and you read this motion as a judge, a magistrate. And in this, you see this guy doesn't have anything. They don't issue an order. So think about what Judge has been doing. There was no okay, are you going to get it to them? The reason being is, but the presiding magistrate declined to issue an order as the state represented that their discovery disclosures were forthcoming. On the following day, September 25th, the Idaho State Police turned over a terabyte hard drive containing what appears to be the bulk of the collected or produced by law enforcement over the course of the investigation. However, so they got a hard drive over the next day because what were they doing? They're saying, okay, here we have it, So the next day, so on the following day, September 25th, the Idaho State Police turned over a terabit hard drive. And she's writing this. She says, however, upon review of the state's admittedly just volumes of disclosures, some vital material appears to be missing. Remember what Ann Taylor said, that you gave us a bunch of your bullshit, okay, but we're missing the meat and potatoes here, okay? So now Daniel Moore, his counsel has this hard drive like this, okay? He's got his hard drive. So check this out. However, upon review of the state's admittedly, this is what was missing. On October 1st, counsel for Dr. Moore sent a letter to the state outlining material apparently missing from production. See Exhibit A. I have Exhibit A. It's the emails. We'll get to those. A number of items identified in that letter were subsequently discovered in the state's production. However, some essential pieces of evidence remained undisclosed. The state has yet to respond to the October 1st letter in any capacity. It says October 15th that this was filed. Okay. As of the date of this filing, over 6 weeks have passed since defense counsel's initial request for discovery, and the materials produced by the state continue to fall short of which is required by Rule 16 and the Due Process Clause of the Idaho and United States Constitutions. So while Jennifer Drake is out there and other people in Bonners Ferry and Hayden are out there slandering Dr. Moore, the police are allowing this slander to continue, in my opinion. Okay. Jennifer Drake needs to be asked the question, why do you think Daniel Moore is the person that killed your husband? I want to know that answer. That's the answer that I want. Why do you think that he killed your husband? Who told you that he killed your husband? Who said this to you? And he confessed to it. No, he didn't confess to it. That's the thing. Okay. You can't say that hey, I killed somebody and I did it like this. It doesn't even make any sense. Meaning let's say I'm 5'11" and I say, yeah, I used my other hand and I went down here by where my ankles were and I shot a gun at my ankles. How could you possibly get through a window if you shot a gun down by your ankles or your knees? Nothing of what Dr. Moore said is in any way, shape, or form, it's not indicative of the crime scene at all. Okay. So Jennifer, you're wrong. Whoever is telling you that that's the person, you need to ask them why, but you going out and lying isn't helping your cause. It's making it worse. And I can prove that you lied. So I'm not committing libel or slander when I say that Jennifer Drake lied to the community when she made her March 2023, declaration to everybody that, hey, you wanted the public's help. I'm the public. I'm an investigative journalist. I'm here to help. Well, shit, I didn't realize I was going to be helping to find out that maybe we need to look at Jennifer Drake and where the heck she was and what she was doing that day, because she doesn't have an alibi. Jennifer Drake doesn't have an alibi. Jennifer Drake was lying about where her daughter was and that she was sitting next to her daughter when she was on the phone with her husband and when that whole ordeal happened. That is not true whatsoever. Jennifer Drake's daughter was not with her at all. Jennifer Drake's daughter was with her friend Beth and their friend Hannah. Okay. And she was with her all afternoon and all evening and slept over there. And Hannah, or their daughter, was not picked up until the next day. So for me to sit there and watch somebody lie to the national audience when you're asking for help and putting up billboards to that we already know who the killer is, but we just need more information, that's ridiculous. I don't know how in the world you think that you're going to go into a civil litigating matter and be able to get out of that. There is actual physical digital evidence that proves that you, Jennifer Drake, made communications with Beth via text and via on the phone to have that your daughter was there with her. Okay. And you're going to say, what are you going to say? Oh, it was just a traumatic experience. I don't know why I thought my daughter was there. No, you said it would be a moment that you would never forget the rest of your life. You're going to have to explain that in court. And it's just lies. But why would you lie about where you were, where your daughter was? I mean, why embellish anything like that? That's sick. That's disgusting. And I'm willing to help to say, Jennifer, Daniel Moore didn't do it, but I'll help you figure out who did, because I think I know who did. Isn't that what you want? But moving on. So here we are, October 15th. I just think that the lies in Bonners Ferry and Hayden, they need to stop. And if I can help that, I'm going to help that. So I'm going to be pumping out, because this case is no different than the case that y'all just watched on Law and Crime, where Adelson, okay, this is that crime. Okay, it's like a Jared Bridegan, same thing. This is that crime. And it's just been, there's been no media behind it. Well, I'm going to start pumping the media behind this, because we need to stand up for what has happened to the Moore family. We need to stand up for, do you understand that at any point in time, his case was dismissed without prejudice? At any point in time, they could just go and knock on his door and rearrest him for this murder. You guys understand that? And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to rearrest him for this murder. Just let that sink in. Think about that. Think about, every day you wake up in the morning and you're like, is this the day that the cops are going to show up at my house and arrest me again for this man's murder, which I had nothing to do with. And this woman just goes out and just keeps saying to the world and saying to her friends, because I'm coming. When I said that I'm coming for you, I'm coming for the truth. I'm putting it out there that Amber Van Ling is lying. I'm putting it out there that her husband is lying. I'm putting it out there that the pastor is lying from that church. I have the physical and digital evidence to prove the lies, and I'm going to put them all out. Why? Because that's what you do. You tell the truth, right? If you make a mistake, it's one thing. Making a mistake is one thing. Bad research or whatever. Okay, yeah, made a mistake. No. This isn't bad research. This isn't bad policing. This is railroading a man. Okay. And I want to know why. Why in the world would you pick Dan Moore to railroad. He had, you know, first of all, who has the money to fund something like this? Like, you know how much money this costs to defend? Does anybody have any idea when you want to talk about defending yourself against this? This is insanity type of money. Nobody has this type of money. Now, so think about this. You don't have any of your discovery. You got your lawyer asking for it. They don't get it. Now you go to trial, your preliminary hearing. It's a mini trial, guys. And I had the pleasure of reading the entire transcript. I had the transcript. In fact, there is a YouTube video out there, and I'm trying to get my hands on it because back in COVID, they were recording the stuff on YouTube and putting it out on YouTube. And there's a video out there, and it's of the preliminary hearing. But in the transcripts, what I started to realize is that everything surrounding this 911 call was fucking bullshit. They didn't play the right 911 call at the preliminary hearing. Then they were trying to rename it a different label, okay? And then they had to get Van Leuven off the stand to put on Jennifer Drake on the stand to talk about what time the 911 call happened. And the judge is over here like, why do we need to authenticate when this 911 call happened? Like, how it should be so easy. It's in either phone records or it's on a log. Do you know they didn't produce the log or the 911 call at the preliminary hearing? The 911 call was not played at the preliminary hearing. Say that to yourself again. The 911 call to this murder was not played. They said, oh, this is the wrong one. How the fuck do you have the wrong 911 call? How many 911 calls were there? Oh, we don't know. And then they had to testify. We're going based off of what Jennifer Drake said that she did as to what time the 911 call happened. I said, are you guys insane? Who in the fuck would ever let this happen? You know, why? Well, because guess what? Dan Moore's attorney didn't think that the prosecutor and the police would be involved in this, you know, because I wrote a letter. To the damn, to the judge. I can write letters to whoever I want. The judge is all confused as to what the hell's going on. Why? What is that? What is being played right here? How are you mixing up what 911 calls you have and that you don't have? So think about you're at your own case, you're at your own trial, mini trial here, your preliminary here for murder, and no 911 call is played. And we're just supposed to go off of this. Jennifer Drake says that she got off the phone with her husband right after he was shot, and that just a few short minutes later, she called 911. And that's how we're basing what time the 911 call and what time the shooting occurred. We're basing it off of that. Excuse me? You're not serious. Yeah. Wait, but you have all these logs. Like, what's her phone record say? They didn't introduce any phone records. That's not how it was determined. It was just off of what time she said that I got off the phone with my husband and then I called 911. Jennifer Drake never called 911. Jennifer Drake says in her interviews that she never called 911. Jennifer Drake says, here's my phone. I never called 911. You guys called me. You guys called me. But then I realized that Jennifer Drake had interviews before that. That wasn't Jennifer Drake's first interview. Jennifer Drake was interviewed by Marty motherfucking Ryan and another person in Bonners Ferry the next day. And it was recorded. It was recorded via visual, but they redacted the audio. I said, excuse me? Who turns over a body cam? Here you go. Here you go. Here's the interview that we did with her. Who else was present? Brian Drake's brother or something. So you're saying the day after the murder, Lana, you have, I have Jennifer Drake being interviewed. I don't know if it was like, just impromptu, like she went down to Bonner's but yeah, on 313. But I only have the video. I don't have the audio. How can that be? How could they get the audio off of that? The state withheld the audio. Wait, are you going to sit here and tell me that they're going to say that the audio didn't work when she first talked? Because she had to switch up her story. Can you guys believe this? Let's get into it. So, as the date of this filing, over 6 weeks has passed since the defense counsel, blah, blah, blah. Materials not disclosed. From review of state's disclosures, the following evidence is known to exist and has not yet been turned over to Dr. Moore's counsel. Ready? Number 1. Initial portions of Jennifer Drake's 911 call originally routed to Kootenai County and Bonners County Dispatch. The initial portions. Okay. So at this time, what his defense lawyer is saying is that at this time, they're missing these initial portions of Jennifer Drake because when she called 911, okay, from being in Hayden. And it went to, I've played it for you guys. It goes to Kootenai, and then they have to like pass it down from that one to this one, like that. So during this, she says, the initial portions of Jennifer Drake's 911 call originally routed to Kootenai and Bonner County Dispatch. The Boundary County Sheriff's Office supplied defense counsel with a recording that does not include the full conversation Miss Drake had with operators in Kootenai and Bonners County. Okay. That's why I put in a FOIA request. And I can prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Jennifer Drake did not call 911 between the hours of 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Or I'm sorry, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Okay, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. They said that she called at 7:29. Well, a FOIA request would show that she never called 911 between 7 and 8 p.m. So then I went into a FOIA request to Bonner's Ferry Police Department and Boundary County Sheriffs, and I gave all of the information of Isaac Funderburg, and I'm waiting on those requests. Number 2 now. The approximately 30 seconds of footage missing from Liberty gas station camera 7. So camera 7 is 30 seconds that's missing. 30 seconds if I said minutes, sorry. The absence of this footage is mentioned in the ISP's PowerPoint presentation and was acknowledged in the preliminary hearing testimony of Idaho State Police Detective Van Leuven. So there's 30 seconds missing. Number 3, any records or reports from Detective Watts of the Boundary County Sheriff's. So, wow, they did not have this, which is, oh my God. And this is detailing his conversation with Aaliyah Sandelin. The reason that's important that they didn't have that information with the 911 call is because that was impeachable material. If you had that, you could have impeached the witnesses. For number 1, if you would have had the phone records, you would have been able to impeach Jen Drake. So you never called 911. If you would have went through all the interviews, she never called 911. In fact, she tells them that she doesn't call 911. She shows her phone. So then this is where I question the ineffective assistance of counsel and if it's an issue. I know that it is, but is it because I was not able to be effective because they were withholding all this shit that I couldn't get through it? You know what I mean? But that preliminary hearing should have never taken place without any of this material. So the Detective Watts's report is so important because in that report, Aaliyah Sandelin identifies suspect Steve Hartman as the hooded figure she saw running from the vicinity of Dr. Drake's clinic on the night of the shooting. This identification was based upon a photograph of Hartman inadvertently showing to Miss Sandelin by Detective Watts. The existence of this interview is established in Assistant Chief Ryan's March 13, 2020 report, in which he mentions Miss Sandelin's spontaneous identification of Mr. Hartman. Number 4, any of Dr. Drake's records from his chiropractic practice. They still don't have it. These records provide the basis for the state's theory of motive that Dr. Moore lost patients to Dr. Drake, spurring him to vengeance. Dr. Drake only filed with his taxes that he made $70,000 per year. So that's kind of blow up what you're talking about, okay? Okay. He's putting in his taxes that he's making $70,000 taking care of a six-person family home, and he's the only person making money, and he's only saying that he's making $70,000 a year. Scam, bam, thank you, ma'am. The state acknowledges their possession of these records in Detective Van Leuven's August 28th affidavit. Number 5, any records from Dr. Moore's chiropractic clinic. We don't have any of those either. Number 6, the audio file from Detective Alderson's interview with Aaliyah Sandelin on March 13th. This is really, really important because they mix up the order of what her boyfriend goes and does that day. And it really helped me be able to determine the time in which this truly happened. They're trying to say that this all happened a lot sooner than it did, and it didn't. And I'm able to, with Sandelin's interview, prove that. That's why they didn't want to give that up, though. Emily says that Brian isn't the first dude in Jen's life to pass. I would like more information on that, Emily. Go ahead and shoot me an email. Tina, I love Lana. You are so good at what you do. Oh, thanks, Tina. Appreciate you. Number 7 is the affidavits provided to the court to secure various search warrants. We still don't have the search warrants issued against suspect Steve Hartman and his property. While the state provided defense counsel with copies of the actual warrants, the supporting affidavits are missing. So, we need the affidavits. What did you say in order to obtain these search warrants? We request that this court also issue an order requiring the production of all sworn statements offered by law enforcement over the course of their investigation into the death of Dr. Drake. This is fucking sick. This is disgusting. And I mean, I think that Dr. Moore should be able to sue this damn town and these people. This is insanity, man. Number 8, the video recording of Dr. Moore in custody. They still don't have his interview. The video recording of Dr. Moore in custody at the Bonner County Jail on or about August 28, 2020, the day after Dr. Moore's arrest, in which Assistant Chief Ryan meets Dr. Moore at the jail and tells him something to the effect of, Miranda rights are for stupid people, but indicates he has to read them to him anyway, or at or near the time he wanted to take Dr. Moore out of the jail river. Okay. Now, Exhibit A. This was the email that, October 1st email. Dear Mr. Hall and Detective Van Leuven, October 1st. Having reviewed your initial significant discovery production supplied to us on September 24th by Detective Van Leuven, we have identified a number of documents or items mentioned in your disclosures that do not appear to be in any of the files produced. Consequently, we request you provide us with the following material no later than October 7th, 2020, pursuant to your continuing discovery obligations under Idaho Criminal Rule 16 and Rule 17 subpoenas previously issued in this case. Number 1. Footage from camera 3 installed at Dr. Guyman's clinic. Footage from this particular camera is used throughout the Idaho State Police PowerPoint presentation analyzing collected security footage. I will be talking to Dr. Guyman, asking him when he turned over that camera footage. Number 2, This is Exhibit A, which normally we don't get to have, but just gotta put those right requests in, guys. This case, the civil trial begins in January, and we will be there. Truth and transparency, it will be there for every day. We did a motion. We did a motion 45. Number 2, the initial portions of Jennifer Drake's 911 call originally routed to Kootenai and Bonner County Dispatch. Number 3, footage from Columbia Bank security camera. The PowerPoint presentation in the Idaho, blah, blah, blah. The videos from Columbia Bank, but these files were not included in production. The approximately 30 seconds of footage from missing from Liberty gas station. Camera 7. The absence of this portion of the video is acknowledged in the Idaho State Police presentation. Any and all of Dr. Drake's records from his chiropractic presently in your possession. Because you know who had them, right? Jennifer Drake had all of those records. Whatever records there were, Jennifer Drake had them. It said that these records provide the basis for the state's theory, yet these records have not been disclosed to defense counsel. The state's possession of these records is established by Detective Van Leuven on page 12 of his affidavit supporting the August 28th. This is fucking crazy, man. Again, they want the search warrant affidavits. The audio file from Detective Alderson's interview with Aaliyah Sandoval. Well, all records from Dr. Moore's chiropractic patient currently in your possession. Any footage from the Idaho State Police interrogation of Dr. Moore on August 27th, not presently disclosed to defense counsel. With the video record of the interrogation appears to be largely intact. Certain events in the footage evidence additional interrogation by Dr. Moore not yet disclosed. At roughly the 9:50 mark, Marty Ryan requests Dr. Moore mark up a map of the river landing where he supposedly disposed of a firearm. Interesting. This question seems out of place as none of the prior footage depicts any of this discussion of Dr. Moore making a trip to the river. Because Marty Ryan mentions conversations not captured by any of the videos provided by the state, counsel for the defense suspects some additional footage may have escaped disclosure. What a bunch of fucking shitbags, man. Jesus. Defense counsel recognizes and appreciates the sheer scale of discovery in this case. It is possible that some of the above requested documents were produced by the state but escaped our notice. In the event of any of the aforementioned, please disclose where we can find, and locate those. If the state is unable to satisfy the above requests, please provide defense counsel with a written explanation for the materials, So here, you're even trying to go above, like, here, I can write you and say, hey, we don't have this. If you want me to go ahead and put a motion in, I will. But we try to do things, you try to communicate. And then once that communication is not, they didn't even respond to that email. They didn't even fucking respond to the email. They didn't even say we received your email. They didn't say shit to that attorney. Now that's some shit, don't you think? I'm sorry, but there's nothing going on in Bonners County. This is, nothing goes on there. Wouldn't you think that returning this person's email is probably important? Now I got my hands on the reports, the incident reports. That's what I wanted the whole time. Okay, listen to how crazy this sounds. You guys tell me what you think. On March 12, 2020, at approximately 7:29 p.m., Boundary County Sheriff's Dispatch advised of shots fired in the area of 6613 Main Street. That's not where they said that the shots came from. There was never, this is like a written up report after the fact, but the initial report was that there were gunshots over back by Les Schwab. So it's actually different. But this is what they wrote up. The reporting party reported hearing shots fired, then seeing a person run northeast from the area of 6811 Main Street wearing black clothing and no other descriptors. Not true. I responded from the intersection of Highway 95, which is Main Street, and Fry Street. I arrived on scene approximately the same time as Deputy Valenzuela. And then there's just like Shelf, Stoley, and Reserve Deputy Schmidt. So there was like 5 people. Together, we conducted a search of the area in an effort to find a possible shooter and or a victim. While searching the area, dispatch advised of another reporting party by the name of Jennifer Drake, who said she had been talking to her husband, Brian Drake, on the phone when he said he had been shot. Jennifer Drake told dispatch her husband had been at his office located at 6811 Main Street. Now, think about this. If someone says that they hear gunshot, okay, and cops come out and, oh, you heard gunshot. Yeah, I don't know. I heard it back over there, but then I saw somebody running over there. I don't know where it came from. Explain to me how, if you were a police officer, you're going to go looking for the person that's running on foot. You're going to just start looking in office buildings. How does that work? Because I can prove that Jennifer Drake did not call dispatch and tell dispatch that she was talking to her husband at 7:30, at 7:35, at 7:40, at 7:50, 8 o'clock, 8:10, 8:20, 8:30, 8:40, 8:50. Now we can start talking about it. So, if I respond to an area and there's no one just laying in front of me, or, I just start going around looking in buildings. I just start looking in windows. So think about that. Just, because this isn't true that Jennifer Drake calls and gives this address right away. That's not how that happens. So think about if I'm right here and I hear gunshots, I call him hey, I just hear gunshots. I have no idea where it's coming from, but I did just see a dude running down the street and he was heading, north, so just think about that. Now, myself and the other responding officers walked down the alley between Drake's office and Far North Coffee. Deputy Valenzuela spotted what appeared to be a bullet hole through the window of Drake's office. When Deputy Valenzuela looked in the window, which was mostly covered by the blinds, he saw the body of Brian Drake lying on the floor. See Deputy Valenzuela's supplemental report for more details. Myself and the other responding officers made entry into the southeast entrance of the building through the glass. They don't say what time, nothing. We made entry into the building to the glass doors, which led into the foyer, the door to Dr. Drake's office, which was locked. Okay, so his office was locked, meaning you couldn't get into the actual office. Again, so the door to Drake's office, which was locked, was immediately on the left after entering the foyer. We announced, and Deputy Schleff kicked the door open. Okay. I observed Drake lying on the floor on his back. I noticed Drake's body was lying with his head to the east, and he had one arm on either side of him, outstretched, while his knees were bent in a sitting position like he had just fallen out of his chair. I also noticed a black cell phone, which was laying on the ground at Drake's head. We conducted a search of the rest of the building, finding no other people. After clearing the building of any other people, all responding units except myself and Reserve Deputy Schmidt cleared to continue a search for the suspect. Reserve Deputy Schmidt sat watch at the front door while I sat with Drake's body, preserving the crime scene. After some time, Deputy Schliff escorted the medical team in to confirm Drake was deceased. After some time. After doing so, they left the building. The medics who entered the room were John, Pam, and Michaela. I watched the medics as they inspected Drake's body, and at no time did they move or adjust his body to perform their evaluations. After the medics left, Detective Dave McLachlan entered the office. I watched as Detective McLachlan looked at the crime scene, and at no time did he move or touch anything. After Detective McLachlan was finished, we both exited the office building. After exiting, I posted up at the southwest corner of the building where I could see both the southeast and northwest entrances. I stayed there until approximately midnight, which is when I was relieved of my position by Reserve Deputy Usher. At no time while I watched, did anyone enter the building after I exited with Detective McLachlan. There's no timestamps on any of this, by the way. Okay. This is just his written up report. And it's by B. Johnson. And his badge number is 65. So then my happy ass went and pulled the CAD logs and calls and was like, let me take a look here. Y'all liars. Here's another incident report. On 3/12/2020, at approximately 8 p.m., I was contacted via landline by Bonners Ferry Police Department Sergeant Colwell. He advised a shooting had occurred this evening within the city limits of Bonners Ferry. A victim had been located at 6811. Okay. And the reason that this is important is because if at 8 o'clock, if he's being advised of this, if Jennifer Drake calls after 8 o'clock, it's like she's calling and she sounds like a complete fucking moron. Like, oh my God, you need to get over there, blah, 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 right? The victim was deceased. From information being provided from officers on scene, this was believed to be a homicide. No suspect in custody or known at this time. I was successful in making landline contact with BCSO Detective McLachlan, who was at the scene of the incident. And that is Boundary County Sheriff's Office. I inquired if a crime scene had been established. He replied they were doing so at that moment. I asked if all persons were being kept out of the crime scene as to secure any possible evidence presented. He replied that the immediate crime scene area had been secured under the control and watch of BFPD Officer Johnson. Now check this out. I went and saw Brian's phone. And I took Brian's phone and I looked at it. And I said, okay, what time did they look at that text that was sent by Brian's phone? Brian's phone was shut off and turned back on because Brian's phone received back-to-back text messages from his son at 8:16 and 8:17 p.m. and they were read, okay, versus unread. So somebody had to open up that text message, both of them back-to-back, that said, I love you. And then the next one said Papa. And they were just like within seconds. But everything else was unread. Okay. So somebody had his phone and somebody opened it and somebody looked at that text message. Okay. At 8:16 and 8:17. How do I know this? Because of the Cellbrite dump that happened. Okay. If he was dead at 7:30, right? He can't open up his phone to look at it. And if his phone's just laying there when they want to say that they didn't touch anything and didn't do anything, they're fucking lying. Okay. Somebody at that scene. Okay. Or this stuff did not happen this early. And they're bumping up all the times. Now, so the only people that were in there were McLachlan and Johnson, and then the guy that kicked in the door. But where's Marty? Where's Marty Ryan? Where's that motherfucker at? Within a few minutes, Detective McClellan called me back. I'm sorry. I then requested he entered the crime scene, do a quick walkthrough, and report back to me any immediate discoveries and his opinion. So he's telling him to go do within a few minutes, Detective McClellan called me back. He stated that a male subject, later confirmed to be 45-year-old Brian Drake of Hayden, was laying on the floor in the office, Suite B. He could observe no bullet wound or cause of death, but Drake had been confirmed deceased by responding medics. From immediate examination, it appeared a bullet had been fired from an unknown suspect from outside the office through the office window and had been the cause of Drake's demise. And anybody that knows anything would know that that cannot fucking happen because of the trajectory of the bullet. Like if you thought that in the beginning, right when you would have gotten the autopsy report back from Aiken, that would have to go out the window because it physically is not possible. Okay. The penetrating wound is opposite of what they said. So if you have like a wound that's going to go like this way, think about when the report would come back and it's saying it's going like this. Okay. So it would be physically impossible to shoot outside that window with the trajectory of where the bullet was, everything scientifically, you're not able to do that. And so my question is that they would have known this if they just would have opened up the autopsy, which they had. Okay. So how in the world did they think that they were ever going to get away with any part of this? Or was this just to contaminate the whole thing? Who knows? I don't know. But it is that obvious. So my question is, and when I go and I look at the Idaho 4 case, I'm like, if this shit was that obvious, okay, and the fucking fuckerage that they did, they tampered with the crime scene. They touched their phone. They opened up the phone, okay? And right here in this report tells you who went in there by themselves to go and check it out, okay? They were passing around a body cam that night. They were passing around a body cam. Beyond why everybody wouldn't have their own body cam, but they're passing around a body cam. McLachlan confirmed that no one had moved the body of the victim, nor had anyone disturbed anything within the office space. I can tell you for 100% that is a lie. That is a lie because the digital evidence doesn't lie. And somebody would have had to touch his cell phone and opened up his cell phone and clicked on the text messages to put them in red. He read those two text messages at 8:16 and 8:17. They're red. And now, does it mean that it was read at 8:16, 8:17? No, but it was read before 9:52. So it was read between 8:16 and 9:52 because that's when the next message had come in. And there was phone calls happening though too, because then Jennifer Drake, now think about this. she wants to say that she called her husband because the initial report is that we made phone calls to him and he's not answering. When they went ahead and tried to fudge all these reports, they forgot to fudge the one thing. They forgot to make the one, they messed up with one when they did it. Yeah. At 9:52, unread text message, do you have slots tomorrow? But they forgot to do right here. Ta-da! The log. In this log, it says, event remarks, reporting advised of hearing 2 gunshots, in the area of Les Schwab and seeing a person running towards town. Second 911 transfer from Bonner County of wife on the phone with her husband when he said he had been hit or shot and then wasn't answering any other calls. Boom. That he wasn't answering any other calls. Well, who the fuck called Brian Drake? Nobody called Brian. Not at 7:30. But Brian Drake did get phone calls before, but it was later. It was at 8:45, 8:46, and then the 911 calls start happening. So, again, they didn't delete this part of it when they went to go and like edit stuff. And she says that then wasn't answering any other calls. So wouldn't you, if I got off the phone, if it just went dead, after I call the police, then I'm going to then call. Like, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to probably just call the person. Or I'm going to text and say, what is going on? Where are you? Hello, hello, hello. None of that was happening. Jennifer Drake didn't do that after the 7:30 to, 7:26, 7:20, whatever. That didn't happen. It never happens until she called. She never texted him again. But tried to called his cell phone at 8:45 and then called his work cell phone at 8:46. And during her interviews, she said, I don't know, it was so weird. You guys are calling me and you're asking me, like, where is his cell phones? Does he have, like, wanting me to locate his cell phones? She wasn't making any sense. And now I know why she wasn't making any sense. She was trying to cover up with ISP when they were to, like, see these messages and the time, because there was a phone call that they were never expecting to be made. And that was Isaac Funderburg calling 911 to say that he heard gunshots. Nobody expected that call to be made. So she thought that when she would get back to where she was to call 911, okay, that, she calls 911. You guys have heard the 911 call. That's somebody that would have just gotten off the phone with their husband. This is not somebody that's like, oh my God, like, I was just on the phone with him. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was serious. I've been trying to call. I think you need to get over there. I don't know what's going on. Like, that's how it would be. But how she acted was like she just got off the phone with her husband and, oh my God, he had just been shot. You guys have heard the 911 call. It's ridiculous. Okay. But what I think is absolutely crazy about this whole thing is the one thing that lawyers and police look at are phone logs. And it's just like, it's all right here. And how do you miss it? How do you miss this? And that's when I said to myself, you don't miss it. You don't miss this. This was insane. But then how does a defense attorney miss it? Why are you just conceding to the fact of when this 911 call was made? It was not made at 7:29 or 7:30. It is not there. It is not in any log. How about this? They can't prove that. How about we just go with that? The state cannot prove that Jennifer Drake called 911 then. So now why would you ever stipulate to when a 911 call was made? I would never stipulate to anything I never saw. In fact, when I had to go do my own fucking shit, they wanted me to stipulate to fucking exhibits. I said, get the fuck out of here. Stipulate to this. That's what we can stipulate to. And now, so my question is how do I believe that someone's just walking around and you're looking in windows and you happen to see somebody, lying on the ground? I mean, that's just my thought process then. It's like, okay, so if somebody calls 911 and they say, yeah, no, I called because I heard gunshots and I saw some guy running that way. Where was he coming from? I mean, well, then where was all these crime scene photos? Let's see what it looks like. I've seen 3 pictures. I think I found 3 pictures. 3 pictures. 3. Well, then I went to old stuff that had to do with social media. North Idaho News. Bonners Ferry heavy law enforcement presence in the area of Cody Street, Highway 95, and Van Buren, Highway 95. Please avoid the area until further notice. Number 1. Number 2, they have not found the person of interest. Be aware and lock your doors. Okay. Then I found the Boundary County Sheriff's Office issued a Nixle advisory alert warning residents of heavy law enforcement presence in the area of Highway 95 and Cody Street and Highway 95 in Van Buren about 8:15 p.m. 8:15 p.m. Bonners Ferry residents were advised to avoid the area until further notice. About an hour later, a second Nixle alert was issued telling residents in the area to keep doors locked and report suspicious vehicles and activity. That'd be 9:15. You guys ready for my amazingness? So, (8:15), 9:15. Based off of this, why would you tell people, and you would issue telling residents in the area to keep doors locked and report suspicious vehicles and activity? Why would you wait till 9:15 to do that? If and in fact you found the body. If and in fact you found the body at 7:40. I would think that's a bunch of bullshit, don't you? So I went back to these reports and I found that Bonners Ferry Police Department at approximately 7:30 p.m. on March 12, 2020, in the area of Highway 95 and Denver Street, within the city of Bonners Ferry, a shooting occurred. The Bonners Ferry Police Department responded with the assistance of the Boundary County Sheriff's Office. A victim was discovered deceased at the scene. Identification of the victim will not be released until proper notifications to family are made. The victim was not a resident of Boundary County. Now, in Drake's office were 3 beer cans. 3 beer cans in his garbage. And I said to myself, the fuck? I'm like, okay, think about this. 3 beer cans. I know that I wouldn't be having beer cans in my garbage if I thought that my patients could see it in that room. You know what I mean? There's just no way. You would never have beer cans so that your patients could see. So thank you so much there, LaPlante. So when would these beer cans be put in there? Let me guess. They didn't check for DNA. They didn't check shit on any of this stuff. There was beer cans in his like a little like garbage, like 3 of them. And if he gets right on the phone with his wife when his first patients leave, just think about this, okay? And he gets right on the phone and they had a 9-minute conversation, okay? Which don't, we have no, like your phone can just keep still going and going and going until the person hangs up on the other end. I could say that there could have actually been no conversation and I actually shot a minute into it and my phone is still on because it's still running because I'm on the other, somebody else on the other side of it and they're letting it run. You know what I mean? It's when they would choose to hang up that it would end. Okay. So check this out. I said to myself, let's even say that the shot happened after this 9-minute and 15-second call. Brian Drake shotgunned 3 beers in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Just fucking, like, just like sitting there cracking them open, talking to her like, yeah, fuck, yeah, COVID sucks. I can't believe they're canceling everything. These motherfuckers. And meanwhile, he's got vodka everywhere. He's got his water bottles of vodka, but he's just crushing the beer. And then wouldn't your beer be fucking like warm as piss? Like, where are you keeping your beer at? Like, you don't have a fridge in there. I'm just like, yeah, throw me that. Let me just grab this beer. It's probably fucking lukewarm. So, yeah, there's 3 beers. And so I said to myself, okay, well, where were they in like were they down in there? Were they just like, they weren't laying out, they were in the garbage, so it wasn't like he was mid beer chugging and got shot, his beer fell out and poured all over, unless it was, and then they picked all that up at the scene and threw it in the garbage. But what chiropractor has bottles of water bottle vodkas out, cans of beer, and that I think that you're going to just have these patients coming in there, okay? And what if they have to throw like a tissue away or do anything, throw something away? Like, and I go to throw them and I'm seeing beer cans. Like, well, that would never fly. Like, you'd be like so embarrassed. You'd be like you'd have to bury those if they were from the night before, which, I mean, they weren't, but so they don't do anything with this beer though. It's like not important to them. I would think that you'd be like kicking it with somebody, having some beers, like, or he's just drinking by himself. Because if there's vodka and the beer, no one person's probably drinking the beer and someone's probably drinking the vodka. Why the hell would I drink beer and vodka, like in the water? I mean, I guess maybe I would. I don't know. It just doesn't, And I wouldn't want piss warm beer. I want cold beer. How could he be cracking up on any beer unless somebody brought it to him, bringing cold because he was taking clients, and then. If not somebody got there, like let's say like a Marty Ryan, hey, let's crack open some beers. The officers guarding the scene, yeah, no. But this is not even made a big deal. It's made a big deal that he had vodka in the water bottles, but there's no big deal made about the beer cans in the garbage can. And I think that I think it's a big deal because you take some DNA off of that. Who was drinking with him? Who was there? I just don't see this man pounding 3 beers in 9 minutes. Lukewarm piss beer. Like fucking puke, He would have had to leave, go to the store, buy your 6-pack, come back. Was there any other beer there? There was just 3 cans. But guys, we don't even know because where's the pictures? Where are all the pictures of this crime scene? Where is this crime? Why on the back of Drake and in his fingernails is there dirt? There's dirt. What chiropractor has dirt underneath their nails? I know I wouldn't have a chiropractor that had dirt underneath their nails, not touching me. You wouldn't, okay? That's drag. That's like out. And then he has dirt on the back of his sweater. It's like he was outside, okay? So, and And then everyone says that they were just able to walk past this, they were walking down the alley and they walked past and they saw that there was a bullet, there was a gunshot through the window. And see, the more and more I think about this, that's exactly what it was designed for. Okay. Is that, did they ever check that office? Because they said they found one bullet in, Brian, but the reporting people that called for the gunshots, there was 2 gunshots. Meanwhile, when What's-Her-Tits is talking, Jennifer Drake is talking to the police, she's like, I didn't hear any gunshots. But you're talking to him when he got shot. But you didn't hear any gunshots, no glass break, no nothing. Fucking lunatic. But it was like, nobody would have found Brian Drake had there not been that, staged shot to through the window. All of it staged. Okay. But the big thing is it's what time did this truly happen? What time did all this happen? And why can't you produce the call logs to show what time Jennifer Drake called Cooney County 911? If Jennifer Drake is telling the truth, why can't you guys show what time she called 911? Because it will totally royally fuck all your shit up. Because I know what time Jennifer Drake called 911. Jennifer Drake called 911 at 8:59 was 911 dispatched. 8:59. Because Jennifer Drake called 911 she started on her phone calls at, let's see. She called his cell phone and it went straight to voicemail at 8:45 and 54 seconds. Then at 8:46 and 52 seconds, she called his work cell phone. Then at 8:48 and 36 seconds, she called a hospital. Then at 8:51 for 3 minutes and 10 seconds, she called the 8:51, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Again, she's calling over there at medical places. Then she called 31, 16, 32. And then at 8:59 and 38 seconds, she's on the phone for 1 minute and 34 seconds. And that's at 8:59 and 38 seconds. And that's the same exact timestamp that was dispatched. Another 911 call was dispatched at 8:59 and 8:59 to the scene. Where's it at? Yeah, there it is. Now, what are the odds that at 8:59 an active 911 call was sent at 8:59? And that's the same time that Jennifer Drake's making 3151, a 1 minute and 34 second, 8:59 and 38 seconds call to 911. You think that's a 911 call? I think so. And they had a huge, big problem on their hands, which is what truly happened in Bonners Ferry that night. What truly happened in Bonners Ferry. There was multiple things going on in Bonners Ferry that night. And then what's crazy about it all is that why would Brenner Drake tell the guy that he's going to work for, call him at 6:50 p.m., 6:50, not 7:50, not 8:50, 6:50 p.m. In his interview, Dwayne Fish says, Brenner Drake called me. And at 6:50, he said that his dad had been shot in the leg. And that's the same story that Jennifer Drake told people originally, that he was shot in the leg. He wasn't shot in the leg. Why would you think he'd be shot in the leg, though? Think about it. Shot in the leg. Where would you get that story from? He wasn't shot in the leg. But it's interesting that that's the story that you got. How would Brenner Drake be able to call at 6:50 and say that his dad had been shot. I thought he wasn't shot until 7:30. But the 911's not even attempted to be called until, in the hospitals, they weren't attempted to be called until after 8:46. So it's all right here in chronological order. And I just want to know how and why mainstream media hasn't gone out and got the FOIA request to show that you guys want to talk about here, Danny Markell. Danny Markell was gunned down and shot through his window in the face, right? Dead, right? How come those prosecutors were going after how this all happened? And here in Idaho, they went after and tried to blame somebody else that they know is totally fucking innocent. They know that Dan Moore is innocent. Why are they so gung-ho with trying to blame him? Why do they need to blame anybody? Why not just have this not be solved? How do you think that you're going to get away with this? And where is the media? So then we go to the Delphi case, and you know what the attorney said? Hey, journalists, where are you? I'm right fucking here, man. And I'm coming. Because this is what investigative journalists do. But mainstream media, they're the problem. You know, and I don't blame the people that work for mainstream media because they have to fucking listen to what they're told. You know, I can say whatever I want on here. Like, I don't have to answer to anybody. But like, you know, Ashley Banfield, Brian Enton, you have to get things approved by your producer to say, okay, yeah, you can go ahead and you can cover that. Yeah, you can go ahead and talk about that. Yeah, no, we're not going to go ahead and talk about that. We're not going to do that. You know, and that's what it is. So it's like, so then I was thinking to myself, like, then mainstream media should be working with independent journalists. Okay. Work with independent journalists. Work with independent journalists to, you know, there's things maybe that I can do or other people can do, and then you can cover the story down the road. Okay. But if we work together, all right, and if there's things that you can't do, or hey, my boss won't let me do this, but like, let me pass this on. You know what I'm saying? Then I don't understand why that's not happening. But that's what I would think. But there's, when you work for a bigger production company, you sign stuff. And these people are with like I said, mainstream media, like they're, you know, they're not the ones that are editing their videos. They're just, hey, they have a script and this is what they're doing. They're not doing their own, you know, they're like the personality behind it. They do a little bit of their own, but nothing like what you think. So, but why aren't we talking about this 911 call? Why aren't we talking about the fact that Daniel Moore has had to spend probably, I mean, over $1 million. I'd be willing to bet that he has spent close to over $1 million, has lost $1 million in this. And you're going to sit here and tell me who in the fuck could ever do that? Like, Jennifer Drake thinks she's an awarded, she should be getting money. Money for what? This man did not kill your fucking husband. This man has not done anything to you. So I don't understand how they think in 1,000,000 years that they're going to win. Well, he confessed. He confessed because it was a tactic that they used. And he was just telling, yeah, well, if I was to do it, this is how I do it. Yeah, I would put the gun in my opposite hand and I would shoot it down by my ankle. Well, how do you shoot through a window if you're shooting at your ankles, Jennifer? Explain that to me. Did you guys find that gun in the river that he tossed? Have you guys found the gun at all? Where were you, Jennifer? Where were you when your husband was shot? Why were you calling Steve Minert? Why were you talking to Steve Minert? Why was that your first call? A 25-year-old felon. Or was it the criminal defense attorney? The Stephen Minert. Why are all your friends confused on who drove? Did you drive to Bonners or did Amber drive to Bonners? Who drove to Bonners? Because why is your Pastor John saying one thing, and the other people are saying the other thing? We'll talk about it later. Adios, bitch. Keep it at 2 hours. Boom.